did in the 80s.
Although if you're going to talk about underhanded nonsense, I think this kind of goes into this next story.
We appreciate underhanded nonsense here at the Allies.
So, you remember Showbiz Pizza, right?
Very much so, yes.
Okay, now, I don't know if we've
had a birthday there.
Yeah, I don't know if we've ever really talked about this much in the show, but just a little bit of history before we get into this story.
I don't think we've talked about it here on this show. I believe we talked about it on our Facebook show.
I think so.
Which is coming back Saturday, 10 to 11.
Soon enough.
Soon enough.
Pay attention.
Keep your eyes open.
Absolutely. So, for those of you that do not know, Showbiz Pizza started in right around 1979, 1980, I believe it was, and right about the same time that Chuck E. Cheese opened.
Yes.
And Showbiz, in my mind, was the superior brand, and one of the reasons for it was because they had an animatronic band known as the Rock-Afire Explosion.
Yeah, somebody actually had to do a report on this for college.
Did you?
Yes.
Oh, that's wonderful.
You don't remember me telling you this?
Yes, I'm trying to build story that you're just totally screwing up right
now.
Oh,
well, sorry. Oh, look at me. I got some story. And
this is what happens when people don't plan for the show, folks. This is what...
I woke up and got here. That's all the planning I need.
Well, in any case, the long story short is that in this race, Showbiz ends up winning.
Yes.
They end up acquiring Chuck E. Cheese. And in this process, leading up to it, they had been working with a man named Aaron Fechter. And Aaron Fechter was the guy that designed the Rock-Afire Explosion, and he owned the rights to it. Yep. And his company, Creative Engineering, was producing the shows that, of course, Showbiz was paying for to put in their locations. Well, now that Showbiz had acquired Chuck E. Cheese, they now had the rights to these other characters.
Let's take a pause, quick break. Because what some of you don't know is Chuck E. Cheese was started by the same gentleman who started this little company called, Atari.
Yes, it was. Yes, Bushnell. I can't think of his first name.
Yeah, I can't think of his name. But he was the one who brought video games to your home. Not for the first time, but for the first time in mass.
Yeah. So, in any case...
Did you have a 2600?
I did.
There you go.
That'll lead into our next story.
Oh.
So, in any case, what ultimately happened was that the company now looked at Aaron and they said, listen, here's the deal. You're going to give us the rights to your characters.
Because that's fair.
Yeah, and we're not going to give you a red cent for it.
Oh, that's even better.
Because if you don't... we are going to discontinue our relationship, and we're going to start using the Chuck E. Cheese characters that we now own. And Aaron said, no.
Yes.
I don't believe he said it in quite that fashion.
I'm
sure it was in a much more aggressive fashion.
Colorful expletives were used.
Yes, and rightfully so.
Absolutely.
And so what had happened then is that there was something called brand integration that went on after this. And what they did was Chuck E. Cheese took the Rock-Afire Explosion, ripped off all of the coverings, and replaced them with their own and created what is known as Munch's Make-Believe Band, which has now been in these locations for 40 years, okay? And they haven't given Aaron a red cent to maintain these things or anything like that. And so, as you can well imagine, the operational cost, coupled with vandalism over the years, has rendered these things in pretty bad shape. And so just recently, Chuck E. Cheese has made the announcement that they are doing away with Munch's Make-Believe Band. They are going to remove it from, I guess it comes down to approximately 550 locations nationwide, with the exception of one in Northridge, California. That location will retain the band as a nod to the legacy of the band and in honor of the special place it holds in fans' hearts. That portion of this is based on a statement from President and CEO of CEC, David McKillips. So,
now, here's a couple of things.
Yes.
A couple of things I want to issue you is we saw the press release for this a couple of years ago that this was going to happen.
Apparently, it is still the plan to remove those, and my understanding from one of the other articles was that they intend to take Chuck E. Cheese in a bit of a different direction and update it, and the band is just something that's,
Secondly, there is a more modern version of this that has turned into a horror story that some of the good people And one of our grips is getting very, very excited over this.
This is Friday night at Freddy's or something.
It's Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yes, Five Nights at
Where
Freddy's.
the whole concept is this fear thing where these animatronics come alive because they have children inside of them. Not for me, however, I have been keeping up with the story, so I understand the dialogue and what's going on, but you won't see me playing the games or watching the movie, even though, I have that option. But I still feel it's relevant.
Relevant?
That word, too.
Sure.
Because this gave the inspiration for that fine character to do Five Nights at Freddy's. So it's still out in the populace.
Yeah,
this is still in the public consciousness.
And, the thing of it is that I feel like when they said the line, and this is what made me want to bring this up, they said the line about, it holds a place in fans' hearts, and I'm sure that it does, and I'm not making light of anybody who grew up with Munch's Make-Believe Band and loved it, but I think to myself, there is a legend to this story with regard to what they did to creative engineering and Aaron Fechter, which was brutal, and it's like, what about him? Like, could we maybe, I don't know, if you're going to have one location, don't you think maybe you should reach out after all these years and try and make nice?
Yeah.
And say, hey, do you happen to have a Rock-Afire set up that we could also put in there or something? Like, I would just think that if making fans happy and trying to preserve this is what you're doing with, taking all this stuff and finding the best pieces you can to put together one, which I assume is what they're going to do.
Right.
To have that one operational. Why wouldn't you reach out to the guy that knows how to fix them, can fix them, is capable of it, and still has the ability to do so? He's still alive. He still has, as far as I know, all the molds and everything to do this. Why wouldn't you just reach out to them and make nice, make peace after all this time? Say, hey, listen, man, I know we had our differences. Perhaps we can make some kind of financial deal, help you out in your golden years. Make something happen here. Make sure your characters are going to carry on. And
he doesn't even need to put all the work in. All he needs is an apprentice. It's like, hey,
absolutely.
You come here. Your hands still work. This needs fixed over here. And now you have somebody who can operate these things and bring them back to life.
Or at the very least,
it's a skill.
Adopt the characters that are still well beloved. People know who the Rock-Afire Explosion is. They're very well beloved. And I can just imagine what this would be like with the animatronics of today. Having just been at Disney, I can tell you, like, the stuff today is just night and day different from the ones we're talking about. I mean, it could be amazing.
Well, there are a couple of factors, too. One, who would be interested in doing something like this? I mean, it would look great on a resume, especially if you got, like, the restaurant Five Nights at Freddy's. What if you actually did a Freddy's Fazbear pizza? How many people would that actually attract? And we see somebody.
At least somebody in our peanut gallery is
and that's 1 out of 4. So you get 1 out of 4 people who would be attracted by this idea of going to Freddy Fazbear's, if not for the gimmick.
I'd do it. I would go just because it's a gimmick. I'd get into it.
And would the question is, would you turn it into a nice place, or would you have a little bit of a scare factor to it?
What I would do is I would have the regular appearance, like of a Chuck E. Cheese or whatever, right? And then there'd be a line to get into what would be a haunted attraction.
Okay.
That I would run year round.
Or what you could do is, like, do the normal attraction from, like, 11 o'clock to 7, 8 o'clock, have a cutoff, and then you evolve into the haunted attraction that people are coming to.
I bet would
just bring in more.
I'll tell you right now, if you had a liquor license...
I think we just planned this, and I think somebody ought to reach out.
Yeah.
Trademark.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now, if they had a liquor license on top of it, that place would do $1 million a day.
Yeah.
It'd be ridiculous.
And weirdos like Chad the Grip and the Masked Mullet would show up there and do the thing.
Well, yeah.